The Inevitable Fall of the Galactic Empire, a narrative analysis introduction. The Galactic Empire, as depicted in science fiction, particularly in Star Wars, is a vast authoritarian regime that rules the galaxy with an iron fist. Built upon the ruins of the Republic, the Empire embodies totalitarian control, fear, and military might. However, despite its overwhelming power, its rule was doomed to fail. Like many historical empires, the Galactic Empire suffered from systemic flaws that made its collapse inevitable. This story will explore the reasons behind the downfall of such an empire, blending political intrigue, military overreach, and social unrest. Chapter 1: The Rise of the Empire. The Galactic Republic, once a thriving democracy, became mired in corruption and bureaucracy. Taking advantage of these weaknesses, Supreme Chancellor Palpatine orchestrated his rise to power through manipulation, deceit, and war. The Clone Wars provided him with the justification to centralize authority, and Order 66 eliminated the Jedi, his greatest threat. Thus, the Empire was born under the pretense of peace and security. At first, the Empire thrived. With a massive military and advanced technology, it crushed opposition and expanded its reach. However, the seeds of its destruction were planted from the beginning. Chapter 2: Authoritarian Rule and Its Consequences. The Empire's rule was based on fear rather than trust. Unlike the Republic, which allowed planetary self-governance, the Empire imposed harsh military rule. Local leaders were replaced with imperial governors, stripping systems of autonomy. The Senate, once a symbol of democratic representation, was eventually dissolved entirely. This suppression created resentment across the galaxy. Many planets that once supported the Empire began to view it as an oppressor. Insurgencies began forming in secret, planting the first seeds of rebellion. Moreover, the reliance on military force over diplomacy was short-sighted. The Empire could suppress revolts, but it could not win the hearts and minds of the people. Without loyalty, its rule was inherently unstable. Chapter 3: The Over-Reliance on Military Might. The Empire's greatest strength, its military, was also its greatest weakness. Instead of investing in infrastructure, economic stability, or technological innovation, it funneled vast resources into building weapons of war. The Death Star, an ultimate symbol of the Empire's power, was meant to deter rebellion. Instead, its destruction at the hands of a small band of rebels exposed the Empire's vulnerability. Moreover, the military was built upon conscription, fear, and obedience. The best leaders, such as Grand Admiral Thrawn, were the exception rather than the rule. Many officers were promoted based on loyalty rather than competence, leading to corruption and inefficiency. When faced with a decentralized rebellion, the rigid and bureaucratic imperial forces struggled to adapt. Chapter 4: The Flawed Leadership of the Emperor. Emperor Palpatine was a master strategist, but his rule was deeply flawed. His obsession with personal power led him to prioritize control over stability. Unlike historical rulers who secured their legacy through succession planning, Palpatine sought to rule indefinitely. His reliance on Sith philosophy, which encouraged betrayal and paranoia, meant that he never truly trusted his subordinates. Instead of fostering a competent government, he surrounded himself with ambitious yet untrustworthy individuals. His second-in-command, Darth Vader, was a powerful enforcer but lacked political acumen. The Emperor's greatest flaw was his inability to recognize that ruling through fear created enemies faster than he could eliminate them. Chapter 5: The Power of Rebellion. While the Empire appeared invincible, the seeds of rebellion had been planted long before the Galactic Civil War. The destruction of Alderaan, a peaceful planet, turned many neutral factions against the Empire. The rebellion, once a scattered resistance, became a united force under leaders like Mon Mothma and Leia Organa. Unlike the Empire, the rebellion thrived on hope and unity. It had no central leader who could be targeted for elimination. It adapted to imperial strategies, using guerrilla tactics and hit-and-run attacks. The more the Empire cracked down, the stronger the resistance grew. The turning point came at Endor, where the second Death Star's destruction signaled the Empire's unraveling. Without the Emperor, the already unstable regime crumbled. Chapter 6: The Fall of the Empire. With Palpatine's death, the Empire lost its central figure of authority. The Imperial fleet, without clear leadership, fragmented. Ambitious warlords seized power, plunging the galaxy into chaos. Meanwhile, the new republic emerged as a beacon of hope. Unlike the Empire, it sought to restore democracy and self-governance. Former imperial officers defected, realizing that the Empire's cause was doomed. While remnants of the Empire lingered, it could never regain its former glory. Like all authoritarian regimes, it was built on a fragile foundation of fear. Once that fear was broken, its fall was inevitable. Conclusion: the lessons of the Empire's fall. The Galactic Empire's collapse was not merely a result of external rebellion but of its own inherent flaws. Its reliance on authoritarian control, suppression of individual freedoms, and overemphasis on military dominance doomed it from the start. Without trust, economic stability, or a succession plan, the Empire was bound to fall. This story, while fictional, mirrors the fate of many historical empires. Rome, Nazi Germany, and the Soviet Union all fell due to similar internal weaknesses. The Galactic Empire serves as a cautionary tale. Absolute power, when built on fear and oppression, is never truly sustainable. The fall of the Empire was not just a victory for the rebellion but for the idea that freedom, hope,